Today, we're going to be talking about all things insulated tools. That means why I carry them, if you should, where you're required to, and what it really means to have insulated tools. Now, comment down below and let me know what your favorite brand of insulated tool is. Now, this is just for here in America because in the UK, they are required to have insulated tools as electricians. All of their tools, I mean, even their saws are required to be insulated. It's crazy. But at the same time, I personally carry insulated tools every day and I use them every day. These here, I've got some wear and tear on them. They are my daily use pliers and they are VDE. I do that because for one, I like the handles. These are the Knipex linemen's and diagonal cutters. I love the Knipex pliers. I love the comfort on these handles. They're extremely soft and I like the way that they fit in my hand. That being said, they also provide a lot more protection than regular pliers. I have used regular pliers on live work before. Now, it wasn't panel work, it wasn't hot work, there was no signature. You don't want to do hot work ever. There are certain times where it comes up and it's much easier for you to mess with one or two circuits that are live than that are not. If you're not trained, if you're not prepared, if you feel uncomfortable, don't do it. I won't tell you that enough. If somebody tries to force you to and you're not ready or you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. That's the end of the story. It's not something that you should mess with or play with. When you become more experienced and you feel comfortable and you feel safe doing it, you don't feel like it's a bad situation, you don't feel like you're in danger, then sometimes there are some points where it is acceptable to do. Most pliers are somewhat insulated. The difference is that these are tested. Now, if you can see on this handle here, it says 1,000 volts. It's rated all the way up to 1,000 volts. They put these pliers or screwdrivers or whatever the insulated tool is on a line and they put electricity on that line, 1,000 volts, and they drag it through water. The water obviously will get through cracks that your hands won't. And if they pass this test, if they can be in the water and not conduct electricity, then they pass the test and they're stamped. That's VDE, that's insulated, whatever the term is, that's what that means. That means that Knipex is testing these pliers before they send them out to me, so I know that I'm going to be safe if I touch electrical wires. Now, the reason why I use them all day, every day, is because they're comfortable and the price is practically the same as their comfort grip handles, which I love. Why not have that extra bit of protection and comfort if I'm going to be using them every day? I mean, it is like within $10. For me to spend the $10 that I spent on these 2 years ago and to have the VDE handles, it was totally worth it. People will make fun of you or mess with you for anything that they don't think is traditional or that they don't do. It's super dumb. Why not have the extra protection, especially for the cost? I'll say this though, that a lot of times the American insulated tools are way more expensive than their just like comfort grip, but the German tools, which I prefer these pliers, they're insulated, are not significantly higher. They're very close or similar, or even sometimes the same price because it's required over there. And so they regulate that and they don't make it as hard to purchase those pliers, which also are the same price as all the comfort grip and journeyman and all those other types of pliers here in America. Now, they do become required when you are working under a hot permit. That means that you're working in a panel that you are not shutting off. It is known, you're signing off that you're doing this and you're doing it live. This happens in factories and stuff like that, that the panels are huge, that there's a lot of electricity, but in order to shut those machines down, it's like millions of dollars for every hour that those machines are shut down, all the resets, all that other stuff. It's a lot of work. There are certain times like in the service field where you do that and those tools have to be insulated. These are my everyday use pliers. I beat and use these things to death. I have a set of pliers and a set of screwdrivers and tools that I use that are only for hot work because I want to make sure that they keep their integrity. That's an important thing. It truly is worth the extra however many $100 for me to know and feel safe when I'm working on these big panels with all this power coming through, all these amps. It makes me feel much safer, and I would spend way too much money to feel safer. So I do have a dedicated set of tools that I use for big hot work things, big hot work jobs where I'm in large panels. There's a lot of amps available that would blow my face away. Obviously, I'm very careful in those moments, and that means the things I can do to make me the least nervous, I'm going to do those things so that I can feel comfortable in those situations. Now, the German or European pliers will be VDE, and they'll say 1,000 volts, and they'll have this little rating on there. They're also usually red and yellow. Now, the American pliers, they are mostly this orange, a thicker orange. Now, those are also marked with a 1,000 volt rating. They're not considered VDE. That's the standard that they use in Europe, not over here in America. Ours are just considered insulated. Now, I don't insulate things like these Cobras. I don't get insulated pliers for those because they're just pump pliers, or channel locks as we call them here in America. I don't insulate them because I don't use them on anything for wires. Like, I don't grab any set of wires with this, and I kind of like this handle better. And with that being said, it's stuff like my linemen's, that these are pretty much only for wires. My diagonal cutters, these are mostly for wires or things that are dealing with wires. And my screwdriver, because you're going to end up using these on terminals. Now, if you can see, this one here is pretty beat up. This is my daily use screwdriver. I use it all the time. Now, eventually I'll replace it when I get a new set, because they're like $30 a set for a number 1, number 2 Phillips, number 1 and number 2 square, and a flathead. But I also have my set that I use solely for hot work when it's dangerous, all that other stuff. And there's some pretty crazy tools that you can get into. Now, I do have an insulated set of these pump pliers. These are from Wera. They came in a set, and I too really like this handle, but these stay in my hot work bag. I like the Wera pliers as well. They are very comfortable. The head on these are huge. They cut super well. They come loose. Yeah, these are the set that I keep in my hot work bag. And there's some other funky stuff. This is an insulated T-handle. It's a 3/8 Allen. And this is something that I got because once upon a time, we came to a house and the panel was like smoking. One of the lugs had come loose. Somebody had done some backwoods stuff a few years back. And so eventually it just wiggled loose. They hadn't tightened it all the way, and we had to tighten it. You know, that kept all these problems from happening. And there was obviously, it was getting hot because when it becomes loose, the electricity arcs and it creates heat. Not good. Same thing with this insulated ratchet. Again, this right here is unnecessary until you get to a certain point, but I like to have it. This one here is from Wera. I like this insulated ratchet a lot. This is like $100. Most people will not need this. This is not the thing that I'm trying to convince you to get, or this, honestly. And if you don't want them, don't do it. But I am telling you that getting an insulated set of everyday use pliers is probably a good idea. It's just an extra layer of protection. It's comfortable. Like, they are my favorite pliers to use. I don't know how else to say it. And they're affordable, which is a myth that they're not, because the American versions are not so affordable. I know there are some more out now. Klein has a set out now that is much more affordable. A couple years ago, it was hard to get a hold of a set of American insulated pliers without breaking the bank. And that's somebody saying that who spent $100 on this 3/8 insulated ratchet, which is super cool, by the way. I mean, look at this thing. The things that I would get that are insulated are linemen's, diagonal cutters, wire strippers, screwdrivers. And aside from that, if you use cable shears, maybe get an insulated set of cable shears, but just start with the basics. Find a brand that you like, find a package. I got most of these in a package with a set of screwdrivers that were amazing for way under what it would have cost me to get into them individually. I think it was like $200, right around there, maybe a little bit over, for linemen's, diagonal cutters, a set of shears, and also a set of Cobras that are insulated, and a set of screwdrivers from Whittle, which are amazing. I saved a ton of money by just buying them together. If it's something you want to do, pull the trigger. It's worth it. If you want to see what I carry every day, go ahead, head up to this video. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, it's all for His glory, and I'll see you guys on the next one.